Buying properties on land contract or contract for deed at 0% interest. You can pay off your properties in 1/3 of the time using this technique. What I'd like to share with you today is an easy way to buy properties at 0% interest with no money down, and by doing that, pay off your mortgage in 1/3 the time it takes to pay off a conventional mortgage. Land contract or contract for deed is one of the zero down investing strategies that I teach in my Zero Down Accelerator program. Land contracts are in mortgage states. Contract for deeds are in states that have trust deeds. For example, Illinois is a trust deed state. California is a trust deed state. So you'd use a contract for deed. Indiana and Texas are mortgage states, so you'd use a land contract. A land contract is simply an agreement between the buyer and the seller of a property where the buyer agrees to pay a certain amount of money for the property over a certain period of time and makes payments on that property during that time. When that property is paid off, the seller transfers the deed to the buyer. The deed does not transfer on a land contract until the entire contract is paid off. So as a land contract buyer, you don't have the deed. But if you're buying with a land contract, you'll record that deed. And when we record a land contract purchase, we close at a title company, at least when we're buying. We get title insurance, we make sure the title is clear, and we have the title company record that land contract at the county recorder. That way it puts us, the buyer, in the line of title and protects our ownership position. It'll also keep the seller from refinancing the property out from under us. So that's the basic concept of land contract, contract for deed. Let's talk about the fun part though, which is zero interest land contracts. Here's a hypothetical example deal. Let's say we've got a property that I'm able to get for $50,000. It needs $10,000 worth of work and it'll be worth $100,000 when we complete the work on the property. It'll rent for $900 a month and the taxes are $150 a month. We can find properties like this in both rural areas and urban areas all over the country. There are a lot of places in the country that have properties similar to this. You don't have to buy them in the area you live. You can do this remotely, especially if you have automation systems like the AutoMarketer. If you use the push-button AutoMarketer, you can bring in hundreds of leads from all over the country with the push of a button. Once you get those leads, if you know how to convert them into deals, you'll be able to make offers using land contracts or other zero-down structures. With low-priced properties like these, we find that a lot of people own these houses free and clear. They don't have mortgages on them, so it makes it really easy to do a land contract with zero interest. Let's say we've got this $50,000 property that I've been talking about. They're going to sell it to us for $50,000. The after repair value, the ARV, is $100,000 and it's going to cost $10,000 to fix it up. So just a note, you can also buy these properties without having to put any money into fixing them up. If you don't have the cash, you can tie them up and then sell them to someone who does. But for right now, let's just stick with this method. So how much are we going to offer them as monthly payments? I need to look at how much I can afford to pay monthly and still have positive cash flow. In this scenario, I know I've got $900 a month coming in from rent. I've got $150 a month going out for my taxes and insurance. So let's back our way into this payment. $900 is the income, subtract $150 for taxes and insurance. I also want to build in positive cash flow for myself, let's say $200 a month. And then let's say I want to throw in $90 to cover property management. So that's 10% of the income of the property is typically what it costs to have somebody manage it for you. That means I've got $460 a month left that I can pay the seller and still have positive cash flow. So $460 a month. If I have a $50,000 mortgage with zero interest, I divide $50,000 by 460. That gives me about 108 months. I divide that by 12, that's a bit more than 9 years. We set it up so it's fully amortized, no balloon payments. Balloons are for clowns. That's 0% interest over 9 years at $460 a month. And every payment I make goes 100% towards principal, like money in the bank. That means that it pays off so much faster. And in this situation, it pays off in 9 years. So I own this property free and clear after 9 years. If I had a mortgage on this property with interest, my payment would be very similar to this, except it would take me 30 years to pay off. So doing it with zero interest pays it off in less than a third of the time and builds equity every month. So having zero interest makes all the difference in the world. Your interest rate is going to determine how quickly you pay off your properties. So make sure you get good interest rates. The goal of building a solid portfolio is not just to have a ton of properties. It's about having a ton of cash flow. When you pay off your properties, your cash flow increases dramatically. I bought properties subject to at 11% and 12% way back in the 80s and 90s, and others all the way down to 3 and 4% more recently. Those low interest rates were wonderful, but they're nothing compared to zero interest. The difference is night and day and will determine whether or not you pay that property off in 8 or 10 years versus 30 years. A big, big difference. I want to be able to spend and reinvest my money a lot sooner. I want to be able to have my property paid off and free and clear as quickly as I can. Using this technique will make that happen. So when you go to your sellers, you're going to ask them, what if I paid you $460 a month and just paid off this $50,000 over the next 9 years or so? Would that be okay with you? I'll give you the full $50,000, but we'll do it over 9 years. And that usually works if you're talking to someone who owns it free and clear and is looking to get rid of the property. Now, it's also possible when you own a property like this to be able to go back to them, let's say a year later or even 5 years later, and say, I still owe you $40,000 on this property. What if I paid you $20,000 right now and just paid it off? Would something like that work? You can have this money right now, or I just could continue to pay you that $460 a month until it's paid off. Which would you prefer? Often they'll take the discount note and let you pay it off. And assuming you've got the capital to do it, you suddenly made $20,000 simply by paying it off early. You can also buy properties like this inside your Roth IRA. If you set up a Roth, you never have to pay taxes on the income or capital gains on your properties. Once you retire, you can pull money from your properties without paying taxes. To borrow money and buy houses in your Roth, you have to use non-recourse loans. So when you buy with a land contract, make sure you put the verbiage in your land contract that makes it a non-recourse loan. Just ask your attorney or use my contracts. There's some specific verbiage that you need to put in the contract that turns it into a non-recourse loan. Non-recourse, by the way, means that if you default on the property, the lender, the seller in this case, can't come after you for anything but the property. They can't get a deficiency judgment. That's why the Roth IRAs make you do that, because they don't want you impacting your Roth. We're also able to do subject to inside our Roth because they're also non-recourse. So you're able to buy them inside your Roth IRA and never pay taxes. There's a thing called a UBIT, UBIT taxes, and you can legally get around that too if you structure your deal right. Ask me about it if you build it, and I'll show you how that's done. Most of us start without much money in our Roth IRA. Maybe you only put in your initial investment and you've only got a few $1,000s in that account. When I first started my Roth, I thought I had to pay each property off free and clear before I could purchase it. And then my CPA told me that I can use these two techniques to buy millions of dollars of property with non-recourse loans and never go to a bank. I love my Roth. Tax-free money means my income from these properties when I retire just went up by 30 to 40% because I don't have any income tax on them. How to succeed. I've taught this zero down strategy to hundreds of mentor students over the years. That's why I put together the Zero Down Investing Accelerator, my step-by-step 6-month mentor program designed to equip you with the confidence and skill you need to go out there and make these deals a reality and do it over and over again. My mentor program might be for you if you're an existing investor doing less than 5 deals a month and you haven't found a way to predictably scale your business. Or maybe you're busting your butt doing a few deals a year, but you want more consistency with your income and you want to systematize, automate, and grow your business while you gradually extract yourself from the day-to-day work. Or maybe you're completely new to real estate investing, a complete green newbie, never done your first deal, and you're looking for a way to get started. Maybe you're looking for a way to replace your current income entirely, quit your job, and create financial freedom. You want to build an ethical business that treats everyone fairly and doesn't take advantage of people. You want to develop a servant mindset that brings value to others. I've had hundreds of successful students, many of them who have gone on to become millionaires through owning real estate. It's one thing to understand conceptually how this works. It's another thing to actually walk a seller through this process and compel them to want to do the deal with you. My training is what I like to call stupid proof, meaning that if you follow my instructions exactly, you can't screw it up. I've got over 160 documented student success stories on video that prove it, and they're just a fraction of my successful students over the years that I've been teaching. My name is Joe Crump. I've been a real estate investor and mentor for close to 40 years. When I started, I built a $17 million real estate business in 3 years, starting from scratch. In 1991, I lost it all because of wishful thinking and stupid but common mistakes. Unfortunately, I still see investors make these same mistakes every day. My ignorance and hubris trashed my credit, emptied my bank account, and caused me a great deal of humiliation. With no money and no credit, I had to start over from scratch. I needed a new way to invest because banks wouldn't touch me. That's when I developed the pillars of the Zero Down Investing Framework. I teach and use it every day. Over the years, I've trained hundreds of people in my techniques and led them to real estate success. If you'd like to work with me, feel free to book a call right here at this link. You might also want to take a look at this income earning disclaimer. It's required by the FTC of all business opportunities and training programs to help people understand the risks and benefits of investing. All right, good luck now.